Okay. I had hit the record button and I wanted to make sure that it looked like it was off. I'm always messing up. How are you? I'm so excited.
I'm good. I'm so glad to see you today.
I
Um,
know.
yeah.
You all
Hello. I
are,
think, did you freeze?
I might have. Did I freeze?
I think so.
Oh, it figures.
You're moving now.
Oh, I'm moving now? Okay. It's pretty far,
Yeah.
so
Maybe.
it happens.
Yeah.
You can hear me okay though, right?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
think it's just the video that just glitched for a second, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, you look lovely this morning.
Thank you. I tried to do something with my hair. I haven't really done much since COVID.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
came out of the bathroom and Fred goes, "Oh my God, you have lips." I'm like, "Yes." It's like who puts on any makeup, you know? It's like
No.
it's amazing. I keep going, someone could make a fortune. Well, there are lipsticks, I guess, that don't um smudge or whatever, but you're always wearing a
Mhm.
mask. I don't know about you, but I'm always wearing a mask. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, they're mandatory here. So you have to wear them if you want to go inside anywhere, which is
Ah,
great. But I actually find it hard to recognize people now because I can only see half their face. So I
right.
have to really like pay attention. Like I think they look familiar. And then sometimes I catch myself like staring at people a little too
Yeah,
long
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm like, do I know them? Do I not know them? Just
I
ignore it. Like,
know. It's really strange. I think I said I don't know who I'm shifting a little. I'm looking directly at the sunlight, but I don't want to close the blind because then it's going to be too dark. Um, I said to some, or maybe I posted. I don't know, but I was like on a walk and I'm talking to this really cute little baby in the carriage, and I'm like, there's like a whole generation of kids that are growing up with just being able to see expressive eyes if you have those, you know what I mean? So it's sort of strange.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
It is. Yeah. Um, I
Well,
think maybe it'll make people more, maybe more attuned, hopefully,
yeah,
to
yeah.
other people's expressions. But we'll
One
see.
can hope, I don't necessarily see masks going away anytime soon. They're mandatory here as well. Um, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
wear them outside as well. People are
Mm-hmm.
not allowed, well, put this way, they're not supposed to smoke outside. I mean, I don't smoke, but um,
Oh, okay.
you have to be in a designated like restaurants. So many places here have cafes and outside dining. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there are tables that are either put to the side or you have to move to the side, but you can't be walking like in the street or something and smoking.
Okay.
It's not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you see people, you spot a cop, like it's okay if you're sitting on a bench and you pull down your mask or something. Oh, stop that. It's making noise. Um, but if you're walking, like sometimes I just find it really hard to catch a breath. So I might pull it down like for a minute, but you see a cop and you watch people go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, for
really,
sure.
it's really quite a trip. Well, I really appreciate you taking your time, and I'm not going to use a lot of your time. If we run over, I figure about a half hour. If we run over, like, I mean, I'm not focused at a time frame, so to speak. But if we run into an hour, like I have run into an hour, just because we're just chatting, then
Yeah.
what I've decided to do is I'll make two installments. So I'm playing
Okay.
around a little bit with what people watch and how long people can tolerate, and looking at the stats and whatnot. And it's
Oh,
interesting. It's quite interesting. A lot of people will watch for a half hour or thereabouts, but won't watch for a full hour. Some people will, but so I'm
Mhm.
playing around with to see if a shorter time frame works a little bit better in terms of people watching a full one and not necessarily not put it this way, double negative, not coming back
Right.
to
Yeah.
to watch
And
the
just
full
leaving.
thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyhow,
Yeah.
so please, Alessia, please introduce yourself and where you are, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Hi. My name is Alasha Komarniski, and I am from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. So I'm a little bit far away. And our time difference is actually pretty big. So for me, it's kind of late morning, and for you, it's late evening, or I guess early
Late
evening.
afternoon, yeah,
So
early evening, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm a yoga teacher here in Halifax, and I love to teach. They say to find your niche, but for me, I'd love to teach everybody
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So maybe I'll find it eventually. But I really love to teach. As one of my teacher friends told me, you love to teach some people who have something going on, don't you? And I was like, I kind of do. Like people who may not look like your typical like yo. Maybe I shouldn't say yoga journal, but
No, you can because I've been saying it a
yeah,
lot.
can I? The people you would see like in mainstream media, people who maybe have had injuries or had strokes or have something going
Mm.
on. But I love to teach people who don't as well and find ways to work with their bodies in ways that feel comfortable. So yeah, I
That's really
teach like
great.
hatha vinyasa. Yeah. So I was teaching chair yoga before the pandemic to seniors and cancer patients. But
Mm.
right now, because they're high risk, we're not doing that,
Yeah.
which I really miss. And I've been teaching a lot of yin lately, actually.
Love yin
So
yoga. And I love teaching yin
yeah,
yoga. Yeah.
it's interesting for me because the physical postures came easily because I'm kind of a naturally bendy person, but the stillness was
Mm.
hard.
Mm.
So when I first started doing yin yoga, I was sweating like I could not handle it. Like I was just like ready to run away. And and it was sort of like that when I started teaching it too. I'm like, what do I say? What do I not say? How much space do I leave? And it was really this hard toggle between saying enough,
Mm.
not too much. And now I'm starting to enjoy it.
Hmm.
So interesting.
It is
It wasn't.
interesting, especially for people who are not used to one slowing down their practice. There, who said this? I think it was Jessamine Stanley, and maybe it was in her book or I don't know. I have had the pleasure of seeing her in person, but she said, part of the importance, I'm not paraphrasing, of being able to, even in a flow, to hold a posture for at least 5 breaths. And so when you think about it, 5 full breaths can seem like an eternity for a lot of people. I know for
Mhm.
me, when I first started, I'm like, what are you talking about, 5 breaths? uh, but when you can settle into it, and I think it got easier for me rather quickly, and it could be because of meditation. I have a fairly long advanced meditation practice, and so I can sit
Mhm.
for a while and breathe. Your breathing is incredibly important. Again.
Yeah.
But I started, so I started even when I'm just doing my own thing, it's like, okay, well, you moved rather quickly. Can you actually hold this tree pose, even if it's just for 5 breaths? Can you do that and just
Mm.
be in it and find what's new in it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. That's hard. I think for anyone. And I've been teaching some beginners lately, which is really exciting because I get that beginner's mindset again. Like, oh yeah, like downward facing dog was really incredibly hard because it's a
Yeah.
preparation for handstand, you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
just holding it for like a couple of breaths, you can see them like shaking.
The
And it's
hand.
like,
Yeah. Right.
wow, their whole
Very.
body is shaking. Like, okay, let's bring it down again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the physical practice can sometimes be hard. And then I think sometimes in like a vinyasa class, like a flow class, we don't get the opportunity to even hold something for 5 breaths. It's like you're up, you're down, you're up,
Right.
you're all around. And it really does work for some people,
Mm-hmm.
and it really doesn't for other people.
Right. Right.
So
Which is
yeah, and I think
okay.
that's the one.
Finding
Yeah.
your finding your, like you said, your niche, about what works for you. And I think of, well, I shouldn't say for everybody, but for a lot of people, at some point, your practice changes and you find yourself wanting to do things that are different for you, to
Mm-hmm.
explore things, I think, or explore
Mm-hmm.
types of yoga or whatever it is. But, I know for me, that's the case. I don't know if that's for you.
Yeah. So actually, I came to yin yoga because I injured myself during yoga. Um, because
Mm.
as one of my teachers says, I was like an A+ student, like typical vinyasas, or like, wanting to do everything the best, the most, the everything. And it was easy for my body to do that and to push into my flexibility. But what happens when
Mm.
you have a lot of natural flexibility, you start to push into your ligaments, and those are the tissues that hold your bones together.
Right.
So when you start to push into those ligaments, they can sometimes break, which I found. So yeah, that's really important to hold yourself together.
Yeah. No kidding.
So that's where I was like, I injured my wrist. I can't do all these things that
Oh,
you would do in vinyasa, like plank and downward facing dog. And so I felt like I needed to do something. And so I started yin because there's not always a lot of pressure on the wrists.
right.
And I hated it. But I kept doing it because I think I was so curious. Like, what is this thing? Like, how come I don't like it? Um, and now like uh one of my teachers said it's okay to be a B student or B- student, and I really learned that the hard way. Like, you don't have to be like the best, do the hardest thing all the time.
Right.
So I learned that the hard way. And coming into yin was such a different experience because yes, I could meet myself through movement, but it was almost harder to not do anything, and just really be with yourself. Like, that was really incredibly hard, to like meet yourself on the mat, learn how to be in a relationship with yourself.
Mm. Very true. It's very
Yeah.
meditative. I mean, the state. Or the process of doing yin is very meditative. That whole point that you said about being with yourself, going in, and being in that moment. Not so much like my hip is dying. If she doesn't let me up. And I found myself, you can watch people, when you're teaching, you can watch people and you go, hang in there. I know it's a challenge, but can you challenge yourself, to just be, and are you breathing? Because I'm definitely a person still, even with all the yoga, over these years, if I'm emotionally upset in some way, I'm not breathing. And it's really, I'm alive, but but I find myself holding my breath a lot. I'm better now at catching myself. If I get upset, if I get angry, if I get anything that's sort of within the extreme, I realize I'm holding my breath or I'm breathing
Yeah.
very shallow, and
Mhm.
so that's really helped me. Something I realized is like I never said to anybody, it was like, so how did we meet? How did we get, but how long have we been known each other, our connection to yoga? I don't even know how long it is. How long has it been?
I think I know.
Okay.
Just because I started my account on Instagram, so we met through Instagram about 4 years ago when I started teaching, and it was kind of
Wow.
on my teaching journey. So I started teaching halfway through my program because they had insurance where they were like, okay, if anything happens, you have liability insurance through our school.
Oh, cool.
So you're ready, go do it. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready. And then one of my teachers invited me onto Instagram, and I was like, what is this thing? I don't know. And I still can't really figure out like what to do with it sometimes. But then I was like, okay, I guess I'll follow yoga people and art because I went to art school as well. So yoga and art is usually what I follow, but a lot of yoga. And I started realizing like I keep seeing people that are really flexible and they don't even represent my body. And like I need to like diversify my feed, which I kind of hate saying feed, but it really is
True.
sometimes fed to you. And I ended up seeing this challenge, I think, through Mama T.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your Insta, yeah. So I think it was the high heel challenge,
Oh,
yoga challenge,
yeah.
because I was like, what are these yoga challenges? Like, I guess I'll try it, you know? And so like, I really felt like it wasn't really my thing, but there's so many people that were just like having fun and not worrying about really like what it looks like. And yeah. And Koi, what's her name
Yes,
on
Koi. Yes,
Instagram?
yeah, yeah, yes. I can't think. Yeah.
Yeah, Koi Core.
Yes.
Um, I know big people's handles more than I know their actual names
Isn't that funny?
sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah. It's like, I just love like your energy. I think you were on a cruise ship at the time and you're doing I think you're doing like multiple challenges, but you're doing the high heel one. And I just love how you're like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just on the deck of this cruise ship, like trying this thing, you know? And I'm like, that's my kind of people. Like, I just like, you know, kind of figuring out as you go along and not having so much like stress about like what it looks like, because I've already been through that. I don't need to go back there and like worry about what my body looks like in this shape, or if I can get, you know, like a full bind of something or
Right,
whatever. Like, I
right.
just want to have fun. And I think that's where sometimes in Western yoga it's still so serious, like, you
Mm,
know.
mm. That's that's funny. I'm so glad you said that because I can actually I remember that challenge, and I was looking at old pictures. Sometimes they pop up, like in your memories, and I'm like, I remember this being on this ship. It was just like playing around, playing around, having fun. So 4 years ago, it would have been a transatlantic, and I always like to say to people, do not think that we have a lot of money going on a transatlantic cruise prior to COVID, for sure,
Yeah.
because they are the least expensive for the amount of money. They're so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not getting on a ship for a very long time, but no, no. But I remember that. I have so much fun and have had so much fun just playing dress up. I mean, I, I don't have anywhere to go, especially now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a addict when it comes to shoes.
No.
So yeah. And the one thing that I noticed about you very early on, and actually you alluded to it, is that you said I really needed to, whether you used the phrase or not, diversify my feed. And I think there are people who are unaware that they really, that their view of the yoga world is just so myopic. It is just so blinders on. Um, there isn't the awareness out there. And I think that that drew me to you, because one, your desire to teach yoga to everybody and anybody and all kinds of yoga. You know what I mean? Because that to me says a whole lot. Because you don't necessarily, and you teach, and it's a business for you. There are people who teach, just because, I kind of teach just because. It's like not a business. I'm missing it, and I'm playing around in my head now of late about what can I do? Just a donation class, just so I can have some fun with a bunch of people, even if it is on Zoom. I don't really care,
Yeah.
because I haven't had the opportunity to do it, and I have a lot of fun being with people doing yoga, all levels. And I think the desire to connect with people who are not necessarily like yourself, and that could be broadly, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To me, is what yoga is or should be about. And
Mhm.
so I was always impressed. And then you're getting another certification. I'm like, wow, how is she doing all this? This is
No. Somehow I scrounge up the money and somehow I do it and just make the time. But like sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? But
but it's
I think my latest,
important. Hmm.
yeah. And my latest certification was laughter yoga
Right.
because I just love it.